Hey there, it's me once again, and I'm here to read another portion from my memoir. Okay, memoirs, memoirs of the ex-transgender. So enjoy this part of my book. Part 1: My Roots. Chapter 1: Family Tree. The story of my life did not begin with my birth, neither did it begin with my parents' marriage. It began long before that. If I could trace my lineage back to my earliest ancestors, I would. For each of them played a role which eventually led to my birth and my destiny. They themselves did not know, but someone somewhere knew. In reality, everything that had happened for a reason. What the human mind cannot perceive, God had already conceived. My family tree is proof of that. The branches in it originated from at least 4 countries in 2 different continents. How the branches met, were grafted into each other, budded, sprouted, bore fruit, and continued to propagate. Only the master farmer knew. On my mother's side, there were branches that extended back to China when enterprising Chinese sailed to Southeast Asia to trade centuries ago. One of them apparently sailed to a port located on an island that belongs to Indonesia today. We must have fallen in love with a local beauty. So strong was his love that he uprooted himself from the Middle Kingdom and replanted himself in this part of the world, bearing fruits that would later be known as the Peranakan. From oral stories passed down to me, I learned that different generations of the family were scattered on different islands. Was it the wind? Or was it the sea? I never knew. Perhaps it was the constant search for fertile land where the family could continue to prosper and grow. After all, much of the Malay archipelago back then was still uncharted territories. Then sometime around the 19th century, the family was dispersed to tiny Temasek, the island known as Singapore today. It was on this little island that the Peranakan side of my family mixed, mingled, and married the European settlers, some of whom were the descendants of the Portuguese who invaded Malacca in the 16th century. The Portuguese invaders, the evil villains. In our Malaysian school textbook, all miseries in this land could be traced back to their diabolical acts. They came, conquered, and colonized Malacca, holding captive the poor natives of this land. So claim historians. But in my imagination, I could only visualize this tall, not so dark, but dashingly handsome Western warrior from Portugal, who literally sailed the 7 seas in search for his Eastern esposa. He came, charmed, and captivated the heart of a local damsel in distress, my many times great-great-great-great-grandmother? Or was it the other way? The other way around. A pretty Malaccan princess caught the heart of a gallant soldado, holding him captive here with her charm. Either way, I never saw the history of Malacca the same way my history teachers did. To me, it was never a tale of military aggression, but a fairy tale of passionate love. A love so strong, a Portuguese uprooted himself from another continent and transplanted himself thousands of miles from his motherland. By the 19th century, the Portuguese had lost their grip on Malacca, having then defeated by another European colonizer, the Dutch. Some of my Portuguese ancestors remained in Malacca, while others left. Did those who left leave peacefully, or were they on the run? Little was known except for the fact that a couple of centuries later, some of them ended up building their wealth and merchants in the south on a tiny island located at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula. That's right, the same island of Tamasek where my Peranakan ancestors lived and traded. Under the British rule in the 19th century, Singapore was slowly transforming itself from a fishing village into a bustling port city. It was here in this British colony that the Portuguese and the Peranakan sides of my family were grafted together through interracial marriages. The union bore exotic fruit which extended to many generations, one of whom was Miss Rose Victoria Pestana, my maternal grandmother. Okay, let's do chapter 2, and it's called Grandparents. I've never met Grandma Rose, but I've heard so much about her that I felt connected to her in an emotional level. Growing up and listening to descriptions of how beautiful she was inspired me to be like her too. Demure and delicate, just like the flower she was named after. I was convinced I could, for after all, I carry her DNA in me. Grandma Rose Pestana met Grandpa Francis Alcantara at a dance party after the end of the Second World War. Along with other war survivors, they partied in celebration as they reveled in jubilation for having won the war. Little did they know their love story, which began magically in Singapore, would eventually end tragically in Malacca. Grandma Rose, a stunning star of that dance party, captivated Grandpa Francis' heart the moment their eyes met. Grandpa Francis immediately knew she was the one for him, though he was aware she was being courted by a handsome and rich doctor. Unperturbed by his rival, Grandpa Francis flaunted his dance moves to gain her attention. He executed his steps perfectly and swayed his way into her heart. Grandma Rose was spellbound, truly. That was love at first sight, glance and first dance. Just like real Romeo and Juliet, that attraction for each other bloomed into an intense passion. So strong was their devotion to each other that it overcame all the oppositions that came their way. And the oppositions were mainly from the Pestana family, the well-off, educated, and elite hot mode of Singapore. In their eyes, Grandpa Francis was no match for this line of successful merchants, educated professionals, and government officials that made up the noble family. What? Who is this Francis Harry Alcantara? Perhaps a cannon fodder who was just lucky enough to have survived the war. How audacious of him to ask for the hand of the pretty and prosperous Princess Pestana. How would he be able to afford to feed this elegant princess with his meager income, let alone buy her exquisite frilly frock to dance away the nights? Grandma Rose was the belle of the glamorous party in Singapore before and after the war. The Pestanas were the descendants of wealthy Portuguese who had lived in a straight settlement, mainly Singapore, for generations. Similar to the Pestanas, Grandpa Francis was of Portuguese descent. His ancestors had settled and remained in Malacca since the invasion in the 16th century. So I'm going to stop here and we'll continue this part of my book another time. Hope you enjoyed what you just heard me read. Okay, so yep, this is my story, my history, his story. God bless.